provide financial aid and other support to justices of the peace for their service to Jamaica. Nicholas McDavid and Kerry-Ann Blake, both justices of the peace, join us now to discuss this task. Morning to you both.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
They usually say ladies first, but because this was written by you, sir, this letter that I'm looking at now, I'll start with you. First, tell me the overall role of a justice of the peace.
Well, justices of the peace serve in many different capacities, right? The capacity that most people are aware of is signing an authentication of documents. That's the one that comes to mind easiest, right? But they also serve as lay magistrates for matters in court. One of the other very, very important functions of JPs is that they're involved in mediation and restorative justice. Those are critical roles, especially in volatile communities, right? And they also serve on boards to grant licenses. You know, when you go to the bar, the community bar, and they say, it is my intention to apply for a license, so. Well, JPs sit on those license granting boards to give people those bar licenses. They also visit prisons, jails, lockups to make sure the conditions of prisoners. They assist the police in terms of search warrants. JPs are involved in bail applications. And generally speaking, a JP is somebody who is very involved in their community and acts as a guide, a mentor, an advisor.
It's a wide scope. A lot of us are not aware of the scope.
Yes.
And so oftentimes when we hear of JPs, we hear about, especially in recent times, the ones who have gone, I'm going to say rogue, for want of a better term.
Right.
Who are charging for fees, who are
right.
outside tax offices stamping documents for a smalls.
But I think
we don't hear about a lot of the things that Nick spoke about, Kerry-Ann. But within the overarching mandate that you guys have, there are challenges.
Yes, there are.
And Nick wrote about some of those, but let me hear from you. What are some of the challenges that JPs are facing?
Well, upon having several discussions in the different groups that we have, some of the challenges that have been highlighted are basically providing resources, right? Just for a simple letter, a JP needs to have the stationery, they need to have a printer readily available, they need to have ink, they need to have paper. So someone might come to you requiring a letter of recommendation. How do you then give them that hard copy? You would have to get it printed. Now, if that JP doesn't have that at hand, it comes at a cost, right? Likewise, if you do have the printer, it comes at a cost to maintain that printer, purchasing the ink and so forth. For the JPs who are active and they go out to these different jails, they go out to different visits, it costs them, right?
As it stands now, you are hired, you serve.
No higher.
Not hire.
No.
You serve at the pleasure of the government.
Governor General.
And Governor General.
Yes.
Governor General. No stipend.
No.
Well, we fall under the Ministry of Justice. And the minister, Delroy Chuck, he responded to my article in the newspaper. So there were a series of responses to my article. And he didn't directly respond to me, but obviously it was in response to the momentum that my article picked up. And his position is that JPs serve voluntarily. It is a volunteer position. Therefore, he is not budging on giving stipends to justices.
Well, let me jump in right there, because I was going to ask that to say, but you knew about this before you went in. You knew that it was a volunteer.
Absolutely.
So why they kind of trying to move the goalpost in the middle of the game?
All right, so first of all, there is a precedent for volunteers and voluntary organizations to provide stipends for its volunteers. So it's
Not in this organization.
not in this organization,
Right.
but I bring it up to say that it's not like I've come up with this grand new idea. United Nations Volunteers, UNV, which is probably the biggest volunteer organization in the world, they provide financial support. It's not a salary, it's not a payment, but they provide financial support for their volunteers. CUSO, C-U-S-O, I don't know if you've heard of them. They're from Canada, very active in the Caribbean, in Jamaica. When their volunteers come, they provide financial support.
Yeah, but are you
for the
apples and
volunteers.
oranges, Nick? Because those organizations are well funded, and they're going to tell you that in Jamaica we have a resource issue.
But there are other organizations that are not as big. Those are just the most well-known that I'm using.
All right, let's stick up in. Let me see what are you asking for? Because you're saying financial support. You're also looking for a transparent and fair appraisal process to evaluate the performance of
Right.
JPs. So you're looking for some accountability too, which is
Right.
good. And then you're asking for technological integration.
Right,
Is there anything else?
Travel allowances and health insurance.
right. So, I...
That's a big ask. Nick,
Hey,
you're asking for a lot.
You have to ask for much
Yes.
so that when you fight the good fight, you might get some of it, right?
Yeah, Kerry, some people might say, I've been doing this forever. Me a pay theater, me a JP from me a 30, and I never get a dollar. When some little young ones run coming at the thing and all of a sudden no one pay. And I said,
pay,
I know,
it's
and
not
I said that
pay.
deliberately, but how you respond to that?
Okay, well, in response to that, I'd have to say that the movement that Nicholas has initiated, it's not so much as to provide a pay, it is to open the table for
Dialogue.
discussion, right? And we can implement, we can look at it and we can implement what can work. Now, it might not happen today. It might happen when we are retirees and we can't afford it because we are working, but we still would like to be offering this service,
Yeah,
right?
sorry to jump in, but when you decide to become a JP, are you told that, listen, you have to go find your own money for print things and you have to go find your own money to this? Are you told this up front, or all of a sudden you realize, say, you never know so much thing we have to do?
Well, no, we weren't told up front, but
So in other words, you did not know the role of the JP before you got
no,
involved?
the role, yes, we know that you're going to be
Tools.
providing certain services, but in essence, there wasn't anything laid out to say, okay, you're going to need to provide paper and stuff. It comes along as you go, right? Because it's not everyone, you're not going to find every JP providing the same services. There are different things that you
How many
would
JPs
do.
are there in Jamaica now? Do we know?
No, I don't actually know.
Okay.
I spoke to a colleague of mine, though, who is from St. Andrew. We are from St. Andrew. And he said that there are 2,000 plus JPs in St. Andrew.
Alone. Is there momentum on your side? Like, are people coalescing around this, Nick, or do people think you're just making
To be honest,
noise?
it is a divided issue.
Yes.
Interesting.
To be honest, it's a divided issue. So there are JPs themselves that don't support this initiative. But again, as a colleague of mine in our St. Andrew area said, what he finds is people who mostly oppose are people who are not on the front line and people who are not doing service every day.
I'm not going to ask you how much money you take out of your pocket, but can you give an idea of what it might cost a JP per month if you're on the front line, as you said that? You have an idea what you might take out of your pocket?
I don't have an idea, but I still have an answer for you.
Okay.
My thinking is that the minimum wage is $60,000 a month, right? I believe that's still the minimum wage.
15,000 a month.
15,000 a week, right?
A week, I'm sorry. Yes.
So 60,000 a month. I think we could start there as a stipend.
So you want 60,000 a month?
Not me personally.
I know.
But for the
He's
people
proposing.
who I am
But you
advocating
still
for.
don't have an idea of what it might cost out of
No,
pocket.
because you don't. I personally don't think or try to calculate Again, it's a service. I'm doing it as a volunteer. I did it going in knowing that I would have to use my own resources, that I was committed to serving others. I wasn't going to get paid. There was no remuneration. I knew all of this.
Yeah, but if the minister said, why, Nick, all right, I hear you 60,000. How much you spend last month? You know, must have an idea. Can't
Yes,
say,
Nick,
well,
you have to start there.
No, well, what I'm saying.
No, I hear you now, but I'm saying if come and say 60,000 a month, all right, but how much you spend last month? Tell me.
Well,
you said 15,000.
That's part of what I said in the article, that if this was to be looked at, then we would have to come up with a system where you account, where you calculate, where you submit
Right.
in a structured way.
Right. So you're almost saying if I spend 40,000, get back to me.
That's what I'm saying.
Basically, that's what you're saying.
And there's precedent for this, you know, because in the United Kingdom, which our system comes from, justices are actually reimbursed for expenses. There's an electronic system, back to Simone and the technology. There's an electronic system, and they submit their expenses, receipts, etc., and wait for approval.
Okay. I'm sorry we have to go because I didn't want to ask you about the health insurance part, but we have to go. Hopefully, if this is the way to go, then it will work for you. I think you're going to get a pushback on it because it's the first. Some justices of the peace who've been doing it from 18.
Have to keep trying.
Yeah, no problem with that. Good to see you both. Happy holidays.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, same to you.
Justices of the peace, not justice of the pieces. Never that. Justices of the peace, Nicholas McDavid and Carrie Ann Blake. Our diaspora check-in is up next. Nev has that on the other side.